We're back at the Superdome in New Orleans, Louisiana for U.S. Hoffman Association Championship Monster Truck action. I'm Bret Kepner along with Shelley Herman. We are ready for elimination-style monster truck action on a closed course. And indeed, the very first pair up includes the incredible Predator of Alan Paizo from Michigan and this incredible tow truck. Ray Perkowski from St. Louis, Missouri. The machine called Evil Force is a fully operational tow truck. Here they come to the finish line. And man, you couldn't call a closer race than that, Shelley.
That's really something. I've never seen Evil Force run before, and I'm glad he doesn't have to put his own tow truck to his own usage.
Well, the winner has been declared the Predator of Alan Paizo, the supercharged Chevrolet, but you got to credit the Ford driver with the original pickup truck from St. Louis. A tremendous effort. Now, this is an unusual event, an unusual course in the sense that the finish line is actually in the air. These vehicles will be airborne, heading at each other on two different tracks when they cross the actual finish line that determines the winner and runner-up. Of course, the winner of each round will advance to the next competition round here in the four-wheel drive class. And remember, the winner of the overall four-wheel drive title will take on the winner of the tank division. Here you see that last set of cars in which in the middle, in the air, is the finish line. Paizo a little sideways. Watch the landing. Boy, he takes a hit in the cockpit. The machine very sideways. He manages to keep it upright while hanging out of the driver's side window to take the win by a matter of inches.
He sure got his head bunged up there, too, by hanging it out the window like that.
A lot of drivers seem to prefer to be able to see the left front wheel while they're going over cars, to see how it reacts, to see if the suspension is working properly, and it also gives them a little better field of vision than looking over the hood. Now here you see Ray Perkowski from St. Louis with the wheels up of this incredible 18,000-pound vehicle. It is one of the heaviest monster trucks currently in competition. It takes a rough landing as well. And like I said, he was just a few feet short in that airborne finish line, sending Michigan's Alan Paizo and the Predator Chevrolet into the next competition round. Wild ride here by the Evil Force tow truck.
And a hard landing.
I think we'll be seeing a lot more of Ray Perkowski in the future, but Paizo, like I said, advances to the next round, and here is his competition. The worst possible opponent a monster truck driver could have. Andy Brass from St. Louis, Missouri, also driving the infamous Bigfoot Ford of Bob Chandler, Shelley.
It's bad for Predator, but it's great for the fans. They all love Bigfoot, and a lot of them come out just to see Bigfoot compete live.
Couldn't ask for more. Look at this packed house watching a Ford versus Chevrolet battle between two of the biggest names in the business. Bigfoot and Alan Paizo lead together. Andy Brass takes the most famous truck in the history of motorsports around the first turn. Here they come to the airborne finish line. Bigfoot by a full truck length. But look at Paizo. Unbelievable sideways bounce and a landing that puts him in the mud pit. Unbelievable effort put forth by that 22-year-old Michigan driver.
He had trouble holding on to it earlier, and he wound up in the mud this time, and I hope that steam that we saw was just because of the mud hitting the engine and nothing broke.
Actually, the smoke we saw, I think, was coming out before he ever got into the mud. I think the landing may have broken one of the power steering pumps. Here it is in slow motion. We'll get a chance to see. Now, this is a wild ride. He hits the cars at an angle. That's what put him sideways. Look at this thing in the air. Unbelievable landing on the left front tire. And that did indeed break the steering pump. There you see the smoke coming out, as indeed I believe the exhaust headers were being sprayed with power steering fluid. But what a ride! Finally ending up in the mud. Look at him in the cockpit, just being thrown all over the place, even though he is strapped in tight with a 5-point harness system. Unbelievable ride for Alan Paizo. You couldn't ask for that young man to have tried any harder, Shelley.
And this is the winner. As you can see, a perfect lineup to hit these cars. He hits, and look at the height that he gets. It's that kind of action that makes him number one.
Well, Andy Brass had a pretty rough landing. It's amazing, as you pointed out, though, the hit was perfect. The machine actually took a nosedive under the left front, even in the air. And as you can see, a lot of bouncing after landing. The tires compressing, a tremendous driving job by Brass. As a matter of fact, just barely tapping one of our event signs down there.
So Brass will go on to be the winner of the monster truck competition, but he's got some tanks to contend with coming up.
That's right. He wins the four-wheel drive division, but now we've got a shootout between some of the wildest monster machines ever created, the incredible tanks. But right now, Andy Brass is just concerned with making it into that final. They'll have to check the suspension on this vehicle to make sure everything is okay. On the winner of these incredible vehicles, the Monster Tank Showdown, coming up next. We're back at the Superdome in New Orleans, Louisiana, as we are narrowing the field of monster machines down to an overall championship battle here at the U.S. Hot Rod Association Monster Truck and Thrill Show Spectacular. I'm Bret, Kepner, and along with Shelley, Herman, this is the battle for the overall Tank Monster Championship. You're looking at two trucks using an Army M4 chassis each with supercharged Chevrolet motivation. In the left-hand side of your screen, it's the original tank. Mike Katz at the wheel of Bill Towns' incredible Virginia Beach Beast Chevy Blazer, taking on the one and only Randy Christie, a longtime drag racer who is now wheeling Fred Schaefer's incredible supercharged Chevy-powered barefoot tracks. The green flag comes up, and Shelley, these things aren't 18,000-pound four-wheelers. These are 25,000 pounds of metal.
And with that, you get a little different strategy. You're not looking so much for the height. You're looking to get over these vehicles as fast as you can.
And obviously, it is a runaway for Bill Towns' incredible Virginia Beach Beast. Mike Katz taking this one easily, as it looked like Randy Christie may have had some problems making the turn down there. And that's not unusual, especially on concrete. Because these machines are turned like tanks, you don't use a steering wheel, you use two separate sticks to stop the power going to each set of tracks. Sometimes on a concrete course, it's real easy to spin these things out because of the weight and the fact that it's metal against concrete. But in any case, Mike Katz will now go to the next round against a driver we've already seen. Now let's take a look at the slow motion replay of that last set of cars. And amazingly, this thing does get air. It's very unusual to see a tank get airborne over the cars, mainly because they have the power, the weight, and the forward momentum to literally plow through the cars rather than jump over them.
And he was able to hang on to it, too, and actually get some speed going over the cars without losing it.
Well, that's a good point, Shelley, because these particular machines have no suspension. If you think it's a rough ride bouncing around in those monster trucks, take a look at the beating Randy Christie takes in this particular hit with the barefoot fast tracks. Now watch this thing. It doesn't get too much air, but look at the driver. Because there's no suspension, he is just thrown around in the cockpit like you can't believe. This is the roughest ride in all of monster truck racing. These 25,000-pound Army tanks with no suspension whatsoever, when you come off the cars and land on concrete, you feel every bit of it. Wham! Just like that. Unbelievable ride.
He's wearing a neck collar and a harness, and he still gets beat around like that in the cab.